individuality is the sun because the ray comes from the spirit, but the personality is like the moon. It gets its light from the individuality, and it stores experience because we are here to learn. So we said we're aware of our feelings and emotions and our thoughts. And I'm not going to write all of it. Feelings, thoughts. And we also know that there is a power inherent in each one of us trying to control. Sometimes thought comes in and we say, I don't want to think that way. I want to throw it out. Sometimes we manage to do it, but most of the time, if we're kind of stuck in a situation, the thought repeats itself, does it not? That is the inherent capacity of the lower mind, is to repeat itself. And it is like a squirrel chasing its own tail. It does repeat a lot. Let's see what else. So, what the Gita is trying to tell us, that the human mind, because it looks at events, circumstances, environment, and thinks it is separate from it, it divides and categorizes. But in theosophy, in the theosophical philosophy, it is synthetic. It's synthetic. It tells us don't separate substance and matter from one another, because those two are the aspects of a spirit. Because a spirit is immortal, substance is also immortal. On page 289 of the Secret Doctrine, we're told that that is a spiritual fluid out of spirit is the substratum of matter, and that it is permanent, homogeneous, and indestructible. So,
okay, question. So you're saying that spirit and substance are synthetic?
They're one and the same.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear.
Yeah, that's what it is saying. And so, don't divide yourself into compartments. Yes, we have these principles, but this is our constitution and they all work together. And we need to know how to bring about change that is permanent in ourselves. The body is temporary. What is permanent in our emotions, for instance? Have you ever thought about all the emotions that come and go, and which ones stay and which ones are not permanent in you? This sun, this is a very metaphysical subject, and I'm pulling from all different aspects, and it might be a little bit difficult to follow it, but if you can, please stop me. So we said the sun and the rays from this sun, and we said this ray is our soul, the individuality that goes from life to life.
Question. The sun represents what?
What do you think it represents? The spirit, the spiritual aspect of us. Because it is self-luminous, just like your inner ray. It shines with its inherent force.
Well, what is the ray? What is the ray?
What do you think it is? It's the part that a spiritual essence puts forth as your soul.
Okay, so
all souls come from one spiritual essence.
Okay.
Yep.
So the sun that you're referring to is a supreme soul.
Yes.
And the ray is a soul that is part of that supreme soul.
Supreme essence.
Supreme essence.
Absolutely.
The ray. Okay,
yeah.
Got it. Keep going.
Yep.
Thank you.
Now I forgot where I was. Okay.
That doesn't change.
Well, yeah, okay, change. We were talking about change. So this ray then is in each human heart. And please remember that the human heart, which is the physical heart, has an electromagnetic or a spiritual heart that supports it. Because if the if that other spiritual heart wasn't there, the physical one could not function. Anahata is what it is called, this universal heart. So the core, this heart, is based on what? What's the impulse towards? Unity. Comes from one essence. Unity. Brotherhood. These are not words. These are living things that we accompany in ourselves. What else? Love. What did Jesus say? We must not assume that he said it for nothing. Love. Because that core is loving. It does not differentiate between any of its parts. It puts it out. It encompasses everything. It is ubiquitous. Love. So what we are saying is there are feelings in us that are permanent because love binds and it is not destructible. Because Buddha and his arhat made appointments over lifetimes. Ananda was one of them who followed Buddha all his life. His chela. So they're telling us we're immortal, but we cannot perceive it because of what? Because we don't believe in it. We look at the body and we think we're the body. We're not the body. The body is the least important aspect, except that we cannot live on earth without one. So, love, what's the opposite of love? Hate. That is not supportable. It will eventually go because you can't hold on to it. There is nothing in nature that has a core to vibrate towards. Because the core vibrates towards love, towards unity, towards brotherhood, towards altruism. So that is why HPB has, in the voice of the silence, love and charity as the first requisite in going towards this higher life. Because without it, we cannot move anywhere higher or lower for that matter. So this is a permanent aspect. That one changes. What about our thoughts? Have you ever thought that there is one thought in each human being that survives? That is the concentration of the lifetime thought. Whether it is a businessman thought, whether it is an altruistic thought, all our effort in life is towards one goal. Everybody knows this internally, even if they don't acknowledge it externally. I'll give you one example. Our son wrote an essay on peace from 5 years up. Every time he wrote an essay, it was on peace. He got accepted into college by writing an essay on peace. It repeats as a theme, even if he doesn't know it. This is what his goal is. I hope he discovers it. But this is what a 5-year-old child is expressing peace. A 10-year-old child is still expressing peace. There is that goal in each human heart where it pulsates towards that, whether we know it or not. Whether we're going to follow it or not is dependent on our following our inner guidance or the externalities of life. This is a choice each human being must make for themselves. And this book is from Mark Taggart. And I wanted to share this little bit with you as to where science of old was and we're going It's very important because they're discovering things. And the scientists that are discovering are the ones that are moving out of the box. And these are the ones that are being kicked by saying that they're not real scientists. I love that because their minds are working in the right direction. Now, the classical thought, is, and I quote from her book, the human being is a survival machine largely powered by chemicals and genetic coding. The brain is a discrete organ and the home of consciousness, which is also largely driven by chemistry, which is what we have just talked about, the communication of cells and the coding of DNA. Man is essentially isolated from his world, and his mind is isolated from his body. This is the old classical thought. Time and space are finite, universal orders. Nothing travels faster than the speed of light. Now, these scientists that moved out of the box have come to this conclusion. The communication of the world did not occur in the visible realm of Newton, but in the subatomic world of Werner Heisenberg. What is the substratum that holds the universe together? What does the secret doctrine tell us? She tells us that whether we know it or not, that the spiritual fluid that she calls akasha is there. This spiritual fluid we talked about is akasha. So look at them. They're discovering it, whether they call it that or not. Cells and DNA communicated through frequencies. What's the one aspect of akasha? Sound. What's sound? Vibration. So they're discovering it. The brain perceived and made its own record of the world in pulsating waves. What is that? Electricity. What does she tell us? Everything in our world is based on electricity and magnetism. A substructure underpins the universe that is essentially a recording medium of everything, providing a means for everything to communicate with everything else. What do we talk about? The astral light, the lower echelons of akasha, which is the closest surface substratum to the physical world of our world, records everything that is said, thought, and done. Here they are coming up with it. People are indivisible from their environment. Well, this is a magnificent statement, that we are one with everything that exists, not just humanity, but everything else that is in our universe. Living consciousness is not an isolated entity. It increases order in the rest of the world. What we just said, the spirit is everywhere. It's a spirit in the whole universe. The consciousness of human beings has incredible powers to heal ourselves, to heal the world, in a sense, to make it as we wish it to be. So, ladies and gentlemen, we are powerful because we can express this love towards everything, because we are united. And that unity is based on that. It's not just a word. So now that the scientific world is coming close to discovering it. Now I jumped to 5 years of theosophy, and I want to share with you what the theosophical statement is about these principles. We said there is 3 primaries, and the rest of it comes from a combination of these 3 primaries. Prakriti. This is the physical aspect of our bodies.